So in this video, we're going to talk about some considerations you need to think about when you're planning your network. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some considerations. Well, one of the first things that you need to consider is you need to look at the available technologies that are out there to you. So if you are upgrading your network, if you're an IT administrator or you're a network administrator, you may not be up to date on the latest technology trends. And so one of the things that you need to do is you need to determine what are the latest trends. So for example, maybe you aren't virtualizing your servers. Maybe you can't set up a virtualized server infrastructure. So maybe that's a new trend you can go to. Or maybe you can utilize cloud computing. Maybe you can utilize Amazon's AWS or EC2 infrastructure to decrease your costs as well. So you need to look at all these new available trends and the latest trends to see what fits your needs. And we really need to look at and we need to see what best fits your needs. And when we're talking about what best fits your needs, we're talking about what fits within your financial budget, of course, but we're also talking about what fits best within the business needs. So what meets the business requirements and the business's technical requirements as well. So some basic considerations to consider. Now let's talk about a few more. So some additional considerations that you need to consider when you're doing your initial planning is you need to look at your bandwidth requirements. So what are your bandwidth requirements? What type of speed are you going to need on this network? Is this just a basic office setup where you're just going to be sending a few files back and forth? Or are you a company that's going to be sending large media files back and forth over the network and it's going to need a lot more bandwidth? So we need to determine, what do we need? Is 10 megabit per second okay? Or do we need gigabit speeds? We need to think about our current business infrastructure and its current size, and also how the business is going to grow in the future as well. So when we're talking about that, we're really talking about scalability with the network. So when we're planning our network, we need to make sure if we need to scale for the future because the business is going to grow, well, we need to make sure that the network is going to be able to scale with it. So we need to plan not only for now, but we need to plan for future growth, and we need to plan for the future as well. So we need to make sure that our network equipment is going to handle that growth. Another thing we need to talk about is our security needs. So we need to determine how we're going to adequately secure our network. And when we're talking about that, we're not only talking based upon what we think we need, but we need to look at the laws and the regulations as well. We need to make sure that we meet those requirements. We need to look at things such as encryption, physical security, and logical security. And a good example of that is to look at your network cabling. A very simple example. Can we get away with using twisted pair, or are we going to have a security concern if we have data emanation and instead we need to go to fiber optic? And then lastly, we need to look at what are any sort of specialized software requirements. So we need to understand what they are. We need to make sure that our network supports them. And a perfect example would be a dentist's office where they have specialized server and client software set up to manage their system, to manage their patients' records, and even do things such as digital x-rays. So we need to make sure that our network supports that as well. So those are just some basic considerations that we need to consider during our initial planning process.